You ready for the one and only show, man? Live from Houston, Texas. It's the go-to girl, professional comedian, TV producer, and founder of MarriedDate.com. It's millionaire matchmaker, Amber.
Hey guys,
Are you ready for the one and only show, man? Live from Houston.
Industry Wednesday. We have some really special guests on our show. We're going to give you guys the 411 on what's going on in the comedy world today and in general, what is going on in the biz in Houston as well. So before we jump in, let me go ahead and welcome my co-host. Y'all give it up for DJ Houston.
What's going down, H-Town? It's another rainy day.
Oh
gosh,
my gosh,
I'm over flip-flopping it. I'm over it. It sounds like my week, just flip-flopping it.
That's why I got that hat. Bad hair day. I got it on standby. I'm ready.
Hey.
Guys, we have some legends in the building today. We are super excited about this show because what can I say? What can I say? I can't even give them a proper introduction because it would take the whole show, okay? But first, let's go ahead and welcome to my left. You guys, he is a very, very successful comedian. He has his own shows. He is across the country, and he is leading the way for young entrepreneur comics to get out there and set the example of what it's like to be successful in the industry. Y'all give it up for Billy D. Washington.
Yeah, I can hear him clapping. Thank you. Yes, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Thank you, Houston.
We always have so much fun when you're on the show, Billy. So y'all can expect a lot of laughs today. And sitting next to me, he is a legend in the business. And I saw a post that you made last week. You said I'm not a legend, but the work I've produced is legendary. So y'all give it up for Bob Sumner.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You saw that, huh?
I did. I pay attention. Hey, guys, today we're talking about what it's like to work in the industry because we have a great show for you guys. We have a lot of questions. We're going to jump right in. We have a lot of questions for these guys because it is really important to really kind of find out how this all works because this goes back years and years and years. So what we're trying to do, guys, is school you guys on what is going on in the comedy scene today. So let's start with you, Bob. I know that you are, let's start off with your newest brand. What is Laugh Mob? Let's start there. For Mosi. I'll do your Vanna White for you. There you go.
I'm fully vaccinated.
Okay.
So this might help everyone hear me.
Yes.
Better. Hear me better.
Mm-hmm.
What is Laugh Mob?
What is Laugh Mob?
Laugh Mob is really laughter.
Mm-hmm.
It's just laughter. It's what I'm all about. It's about, this legacy that I've built since the early 90s with plenty of laughter that needs to continue today.
Seriously.
So I always sleep with a pad, not my phone, but I'm old school. I have a legal pad and a pen, and whenever things come to my mind, I jot them down.
Yeah.
So I'm about to go to sleep one night, and this name Laugh Mob came to me because I was thinking about what can I do for the next generation of comedians.
Right.
Because it's crazy. I was watching a couple podcasts, one with T.I. and Chris Tucker. I watched another one with J.B. Smooth and Shannon Sharp. Okay? And Shannon was talking about the golden age of comedy, which was what he considered the early 90s. And then Tucker was telling a story to T.I. about when this producer discovered him. And I'm listening to all of this, and I said, wow, this is why I created Laugh Mob, because the laughter of it all. And then I said, these two guys are part of what was my comedy family with Def Comedy Jam back in the day. So it was like, how can I, do something for the next generation? Because when you look at Def Comedy Jam, which I, pretty much took it from the ground floor,
Yes, you did.
it was all about bringing in, the young, fresh comedians who wasn't getting those opportunities. So everybody blew up. Kings and queens of comedy, Mark Twain winners, Academy Award winners, all of them came from these little showcases that I'm currently out on the road doing now. So with the pandemic coming and everything, I had time to have a talk with God. And he said to me that I need to change some more lives, because I always say that I was able to take comedians from the outhouse to the penthouse. You know what I mean?
That's one way to put it.
People,
Right.
and people really have to see how that was done. So by creating Laugh Mob, you know, again, the Ricky Smileys, the Craig Robinsons, the Dion Coles, the Cheryl Underwoods, all of them showcase for me.
That's amazing.
All right. So now we have Laugh Mob, laughing, okay, mob, the family. But what is mob all about besides family? It's an acronym there. That acronym is more of Bob's best.
Oh, I love that.
okay, okay.
That's
Nice.
cute.
You follow what I'm saying? So when
Yeah.
everybody wonder what's happening, so I pretty much built this brand based on the model of Mr. Berry Gordy and what he
Okay.
did with Motown and music.
Wow.
That's what I want to do with comedy, because if you look at all of those comedians that came through the Def Comedy Jam era before Comic View or anything,
Yeah.
it was Def Comedy Jam.
That's right.
So you take a Cheryl Underwood or you take a Cedric the Entertainer, they went from performing on showcases for me to hosting the Emmys.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So it's so many different things that come out of what I'm doing with this Laugh Mob brand, that I partnered with Paul Reiser from Mad About You. I partnered with his ex-manager, Arthur Spivak. And we've decided to put this thing out here. And, you know, out of Laugh Mob, we've done specials with Showtime. You know, I've done a couple TV shows with Magic Johnson's network.
Wow.
And also, most recently, I had a show on True TV, which the show is now running on HBO Max, called Laugh Mob's Laugh Tracks.
Wow.
And when I say that, when I say that I took this model from Motown, when you look at Laugh Mob Laugh Tracks, it's nothing more than, if you have a music video, Laugh Mob Laugh Tracks is like a comedy video,
Yeah.
where you have the comedians telling stories.
I love it.
And the narrative has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And while the joke is being told at a stand-up show, we then go into the video and you see the
It's
joke being
hilarious.
played out. So that's what Laugh Mob's all about. Laugh Mob is doing nothing more than what I was able to do with Def Comedy Jam, but now it's my brand.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
That's a lot of work you did right there. I'm loving how you're going. It's not going backwards, but you're looking back at how the original plan was, and you're putting it to today's future plans, if that makes any sense.
Well, it makes a whole lot of sense, because, you know, while everyone is looking at the pandemic as a negative,
Right.
I have always been that guy that take any negatives and try to flip them into positives. So while I've been in denial and depressed for a minute because I lost a lot of people and this, that, and the other, there was that time when it was like, Bob, you have to come out of this funk and figure out, what are you going to do for the reset?
Wow.
So for the reset, it's like, why not go back to basics?
Right.
Because I've heard Shannon talk about, you know, what was. So my hashtag now is 91 is 21.
Ooh,
And,
clever.
and
I
nobody
like
has
that.
done what I've done. I see Netflix giving, you know, Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish these opportunities to showcase new talent, and the talent that they're showcasing is actually talent that I've been through 10 years ago.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Where my whole thing is talent from not just 10 years ago, but 25 years ago, who is now ready for the big stage. Like at that time, comedians who I gave opportunities to, like Bernie Mac, like Steve Harvey, they was already ready then.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going back to pull up the guys who are ready, but not just them. There are young comedians who are not just Instagram youngins.
Right,
There
right,
are
right.
some young comedians who actually are trying to be stand-ups where you can start seeing sitcoms again. If you see what
Right.
Jamie's doing right now, if you see what Mike and Wanda's doing, they are bringing back sitcoms based on
Yes.
their stand-up
See?
or their
Right.
life in Indianapolis
Yeah.
or here in Texas.
Yes.
You know what I mean? With his daughter and everything. That's real stuff.
That's real.
But that's what young comedians are, some of them are trying to find that platform like I established back in 91. So 2021 is 1991.
I
Let's
love
rock and
it.
soul.
I
Come
love
on,
it.
let's do this. All right?
Wow, you're such a pioneer. I mean, that is so amazing. I love just hearing you talk because you just learn so much just if you just be quiet.
Right.
And actually just listen. So
Right.
many times, don't you think, Billy, so many times comics just come in and just, they think they know everything and they won't actually take the advantage of somebody like you and Bob that have so many years of experience.
Oh well, let's be clear. If it were not for Bob, there'd be no me.
Amen.
Because I
Amen.
didn't. I was floating around the country doing stuff, and Bob saw me on a showcase. Didn't pick me the first time. Told me that I wasn't ready to do the show yet. But then came back around again, saw me. I did some different stuff.
Yeah.
Before you knew it, I was on a Def Comedy Jam, and that show changed my life. So yeah, but to sit here and listen to all his wisdom, like I can sit here and I can help you guys. I see questions and stuff for me, but
Oh, yeah.
but this is the Bob Sumner interview, and I'm pretty much going to
Amen.
defer to this dude for
Okay.
anything that you ask me, pretty much, other than stuff specific to me. Because this is the godfather of the stuff. I
Amen.
never
Sure
think
is.
that this dude gets enough credit for what he's done in this industry. I don't think that comics mention his name enough. I don't think that he's in enough documentaries. And just like he said, when you talk about being the Berry Gordy of it, there are other dudes that their names were attached to it, Russell and stuff, and I'm going to say some stuff that he can't because of whatever those legal obligations are. But there's some other people whose names were attached to it, but they didn't do the work. That dude did the work. That dude got on planes. That dude rode in raggedy cars to these showcases and whatever, stayed in crappy hotel rooms to see these dudes, identify them, and made Def Comedy Jam the top-rated TV show in the history of cable television at the time.
That's right.
And I would like to, listening to him say, I passed on him the first time. Dave Chappelle on the Def Comedy Jam 25 Netflix special, at the opening, Dave mentioned that I had passed on him 3 times, which wasn't true. It was just a joke. It was just a joke, but I have passed on people. And when I think back at that first night that I came to Houston, rest in peace, Lionel Robinson.
Right.
I came to the 3rd Ward. I never forget, I'm in this little place, and this little comedy it's called the Comedy Place.
Yeah.
And in the air condition, it was like, yo, we gonna burn up in here, but I need to hear too. So I never will forget this night. But what the point is, I'm watching all of these comedians, and they really, Def Comedy Jam was new, but still, we really didn't know where we were going with it. But I'm looking at all of these comedians, and Billy's one of them. Like, I know that my thing is a comedian could be funny in their hometown or whatever, but, my show's national. So I need to really get it where there's no everything is bam, bam, bam. Not,
Right.
little pauses of it all.
Yeah.
So I'm watching Billy, and I'm watching nephew Thomas Miles. Like, these are guys who have now gone on to have great careers.
Huge, yeah.
But I like to think that, it was like I gave them an opportunity to get this thing together.
Yes.
And another one who actually showcased for me back then, and it's a trip because, of course, Def Comedy Jam was predominantly African American for a while, but there was a kid that showcased for me named Ralphie May. I will never
love
forget
Ralphie.
him.
He's from Houston.
You know what I mean? Yeah, well, I know where he's from
Yeah.
because I saw him at that
Figured that
night.
out.
You know what I mean? But to watch Ralphie go on and have such a great career, I was
Yes.
just so proud of him. I was just on the plane just now. A young lady from Houston told me that she had went to see Fluffy, Gabrielle
Fluffy,
Iglesias. And it's
yeah.
like comedians like that who, like, I've seen everybody. There's a story that Joe Coy tells that when he met me. There's a story that Kevin Hart tells when he met me. So, like, I've been around all of these guys before this, before the startup.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have a podcast that I'm working on now that we'll probably release in, the next few months, called Just Kicking It with Bob Sumner, where we're going to take a ride with everybody that's come through my pipe. So, and it's very loosely. So, and I know to ask the questions that no one knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where the bodies are buried.
Bill Bellamy did the pilot for me. And when I tell you, we went back to his junior year in high school,
Wow.
all the way up to, through cousin Skeeter.
Yeah,
So, so that's what I have that relationship with so many of these guys, because I am the alpha to it all. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Billy, how did that change your life, though, once you did Def Comedy Jam? How did that change your life?
Oh, well, like I said, the Def Comedy Jam was the #1 show on cable TV at the time, and it was a thing that everybody watched.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, you don't really have a show that everybody waits to watch and everybody plans
Right.
around, because you can DVR, you can stream stuff and whatever. And when I found out I was going to be on there, first of all, I was terrified because I knew that it's either do or die now.
That
It's
pressure,
like
boy.
it's like, okay, well, you've been doing this for a minute. They gave me this shot,
Yeah.
so let's do it. But after I did it and kind of succeeded at it, and I did it 3 years, and honestly speaking, there are relationships that I made back then, Bob, that I still maintain now. There are promoters and people and stuff that I do in terms of like more of the black corporate stuff, like I mentioned to you earlier, like the Urban League and like the Jack and Jill and these black corporate events and the Black Ski Summit and whatever. And they remembered me from back then because I was just a little bit different than everybody else.
Yeah.
I was a little bit cleaner. I was a little bit, maybe I'm not gonna say more clever, but I just kind of stood out to them.
Yeah.
And because of that, I went from. I tell you what, I was thinking about this analogy yesterday. A lot of people say that Johnny Carson was the star maker for their careers, but the Def Comedy Jam and Bob was the person to impress in our community because we had nowhere to go. I mean, I grew up here around all white comedians. The only place I had to develop was around white people because there was no black comedy here.
Wow,
But to
that's
be
crazy.
introduced to this and to be introduced to this world, not only changed my life as a person, but it changed my life as a creative. Because when I did the show, I realized that there was still a lot of work to do. Just in terms of making that connection and being authentic with myself and
Yeah.
not trying to perform and portray, but just to emote. And that's kind of what I still do on stage now.
Wow.
Right.
Go ahead.
So, on top of all this, so you've gotten a lot of success throughout the years,
Right.
So
I haven't hosted the Emmys. But
But hey, it's still
Yeah,
only
yeah,
2021.
yeah.
Anything can happen,
Right.
Let's get Reggie Hudlin on the phone.
Yeah.
So tell me, why is it that you are still showcasing on Bob's platform? Like Thursday night, for example. Why are you still doing?
Because for one reason, it's because it's Bob Sumner, and Bob Sumner is like I know we're around the same age, but he's sort of like, for a lot of us, he's sort of like a like a father to us. I think metaphorically a father, not
Right.
in age, but just like, and I'd like to see him see who I am now on stage.
Yeah.
I want him to know if there's a place for me in anything that he's doing, it's cool. But I'm not gonna be in that long line after the show trying to shake his hand and get in his ear about stuff because
Yeah.
Bob has my number. But the thing is, I still like to compete. I don't want to sit back and relax on any laurels or any TV credits that I have. I might have my joke book I'm writing in my car right
Constantly
now.
writing,
So I like to
yes.
keep it fresh, and there's going to be a great audience there. I'm going to get to see a lot of my friends, and I want to see how impressed he is with a lot of the people that he's going to see. But I also want to get in there and get my thing on too, and let them know that just because I'm the OG, it don't matter. I can still handle the
So
business.
it's just mostly keeping yourself relevant and keeping that competition going.
It's not really relevance for me because I think relevance is sort of relative.
Okay.
Man, I'm more concentrated on my family, building, making investments. I'm trying to buy another house right now. So in terms of like TV and stuff takes time away. As a producer, Amber,
Yeah.
like when you produce stuff, it takes a lot of time away. I just sold a project to BET. I'm waiting for them to greenlight another one. So in terms of like the spotlight, I've never been that guy.
Okay.
But I just love stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
That's just being out in front of those people.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
You mentioned the word relevant. The relevance is here.
Yeah.
Okay? I mentioned 91
Yep.
and 21.
Yep.
21 is 91.
Yes.
That's real.
That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Okay? That's real. And I just want to say this. back in the early years, I had a comedian by the name of James Stevens III.
Oh.
Okay, James Stevens III went on to make a mint doing cruise ships and things of that nature. Like, he already knew where he was going with this thing. Okay, so I saw where what James brought to the table worked, right? So what happens then? Now, that guy who I saw at the comedy place last year, he may be ready for it now.
Ain't that something?
Okay,
Just the
so
timing.
that's when the call comes to Billy D. Washington to give him an opportunity to tell these great stories that he's telling you right now. Okay, so now let's fast forward a couple more years. I'm judging a competition in Chicago, and I see another comedian who has that similar flavor that James Stevens and Billy has. So that's my lane for when I bring that type of, because you think about variety shows back in the day, that's what they did. And I have a kid that I was started working with on my Laugh Mob Laugh Tracks named DeVell Taylor out of Tampa, Tarpon Springs, I should say, Florida, by Tampa. But he has that same flavor 10 years later. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But in Chicago, there's a comedian that everybody is looking for me to pluck all these other guys. I put a guy on by the name of Craig Robinson. And Craig Robinson is now, he was on The Office, and he's on this very famous Pizza Hut commercial that's running right now.
Oh, nice.
But Craig Robinson has blown up. He was in Time Capsule, that Time Capsule
the
movie.
movie.
yes.
You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is there's so many different ways to make this happen. But also in 21, when you ask the question, why is Billy showcasing for me? Listen, and listen to me clearly. Everyone, unless you've had a Netflix, HBO, Showtime special, sitcom, or film, I don't care if you showcase for me in 93. You have to showcase for me now.
Yeah.
Because the narrative has changed. Since March 2020, any material that someone does for me on stage now, if it's not your own point of view, where only you live this life, where nobody can tell your story, and if I hear it, I'm not messing with you, okay? Or if your greatest hits that you haven't used on any specials, I'll listen to that. But the narrative has changed since March 2020. So when I hear some comedian now tell a joke about the entanglement, which was the first thing that happened after the pandemic, that means they've been writing a little bit. When I hear somebody make light of who crushes the Capitol building, like, it's stuff out of it. It was effed up, but at the same time, it's funny. And I'm gonna tell you what else is funny. When I hear somebody tell jokes about people being quarantined. You know, you have Uncle James, who you thought was Uncle James, who you haven't seen Uncle James in almost 15 months, because Uncle James is now back home with his real family. That's his Did y'all just laugh at my material? Did y'all just laugh at? But that's real material. So imagine somebody who can really deliver that on stage. That's what I'm looking to hear right now. So that's why if that OG comedian come on stage, or if you got to remember, Dolomite did Def Comedy Jam. Dolomite was a superstar when he did Def Comedy Jam. It doesn't make a difference who showcases in front of me. If I find that place for you, whether it's a film, whether it's a new TV show, Kid Capri and I are working on something right now. You know what I mean? It's so many different things that can happen now in what I call the reset.
Yeah.
Ooh, the reset.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
Wow, this is awesome.
I know,
I'm getting
right?
all excited right now.
Yeah.
One of the things too, so many shows did springboard from Def Comedy Jam, like Comedy View and Comedy Central. Are there any shows you're proud of, or you like the direction that they're going, or that they went?
I mean, I really, you know what trips me out a lot of times? when I hear people say that they're trying to make the next Def Comedy Jam or something like that. And I'm saying, no, well, yes, it can happen. You can make the next Def Comedy Jam if you just hire the producer of the first Def Comedy Jam.
Facts.
No, it's that simple.
Yeah.
I am definitely available. You know what I'm saying? For the right number, because again, I'm into changing lives. And it's not like I run around with publicists and stuff. Like, they're working on a documentary on me.
Oh, nice.
You know, and it's really the birth of Def.
Wow.
DEF. Who is Bob Sumner?
Wow,
Because
I love
there's
that.
so many. They put me on Clubhouse. I heard of Clubhouse. I went on a Clubhouse, and it had became such a trip that they decided that they wanted to give me my own Clubhouse. So I figured I would go on Clubhouse for an hour. Okay?
Yeah.
For an hour.
An hour.
That was at 6 o'clock. That clock, not even realizing because I'm flowing. When I finished, it was 11:15.
Oh,
Wow.
I did 5 hours and 15 minutes on a Clubhouse just dropping jewels.
Yeah.
Obviously. And then I came back. I said, I'm going to cut it because I really need to do this hour. I came back on Thursday, 6 o'clock. Next thing I know, it was 9:30.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
you mean we're gonna be here for a while?
No,
though?
but no. But I'm saying that this
Order
was,
in.
and this wasn't just about me giving my spill. This was based off of questions that was coming from
Yeah.
people, and it was like things that they really never knew. They never knew that what I'm doing now with this Back to Basics is the same way I found Ricky Smiley, but it is.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, it's so amazing because, you know, one of the things I've noticed, especially among comedians, especially in entertainment in general, we live in this crazy cancel culture. You know,
Right.
what do you guys think about that? I swear, because I find that it is so much more sensitive with topics. What? I mean, some things you can't say, some things you can't say.
Oh,
you say
God.
one wrong thing and you're canceled. I mean, it's crazy
Billy
to
can
me.
roll with this, but I just wanna. This is the setup to all of that.
Yeah.
When Def Comedy Jam was banging,
Yeah.
I was involved in cancel culture then. You know what I mean? I was involved in cancel culture then. The guy who just got out of prison was the ringleader of killing us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even have to say his name. All I gotta say is he eats Jello pudding.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But at the same time, somebody loved it because what happened with Def Comedy Jam is we gave comedians an opportunity to do their club act on television,
Exactly.
and everybody wasn't blue. Cedric wasn't blue. Billy wasn't blue. You know what I'm saying? Warren Hutchinson, who went on to be executive producer of Bernie Mac, he wasn't blue. But what happens is when you have an ensemble, everybody sound like they're cussing.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth. But you give them an HBO special, that one person, they're cussing all, you know what I mean? They're cussing. So it seems
Right.
like everybody's cussing. But Def Comedy Jam, we were able to really change lives and create, again, kings and queens of comedy.
Yes, you
Right,
did.
right. I know a lot of my favorite stand-up comedians that I watch constantly came from Def Jam.
Nice.
And that's
Thank you.
how. And something like I was very disappointed. I mean, I was still young when Def Jam kind of, or the Comedy Central like that kind of died down, you know. But I looked for it for years. Like I looked for some platform that could give us comedians like that, and I still can't find it. Like it's hard.
I'ma bring it
find.
to you, man.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I mean, because again, these showcases that I'm doing, like I looked at 100 comedians last week.
Wow.
All right, I looked at 100 comedians from Akron, Ohio. I went to Detroit, Indianapolis, and Chicago. I looked at 100 comedians. Now, out of those 100 comedians, do you know how many is in the running for what I'm doing?
Right.
20.
Wow.
Out of
That's actually-
100.
That's actually a large number.
No, it's
20
20 out of 4. 20 out of 100 gets into that pot of now. I've been to Houston, Dallas. I'm on my way to Richmond, New Orleans. That pot is going to turn up. That 20 is going to turn to 40. It's going to be, so then I'm going to have to break I'm going to have to break 200 down to, if I do 12 episodes, that's going to be 60 comedians that I shoot, 40 I air.
Oh, man.
So it's going to really get broke down, but that's why you're going to see that it's the creme de la creme after I break it all down, because that person who I first saw in Atlanta where I started, then Northern Virginia, you know, those folks are already feeling like they are there. But 25 cities later, you might have fun, because I do this like a draft. I do it, I'm a sports nut.
Okay.
So I treat this like it's the NFL, NBA draft. In 1991, my first round draft choice, my first pick was a man out of Chicago by the name of Bernie Mac. You better believe it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that's how this whole thing goes, year after year after year.
You better be bringing it, okay?
Yeah, you gotta bring it.
Trying to get involved.
I don't want giggles.
Man, I'm telling you guys, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to finish talking to Bob Sumner and Billy D. Washington. We'll be right back after this.
Maridate, Houston's first private social club for couples.
It all started when one of Jen's friends brought her out to a bar and she didn't want to go out. She saw me and said she's going to marry that guy. Her friends thought it was funny. The next night we met. This was 2 days before Christmas. And then we've been together ever since. That was 2007. We hung out that night, didn't even know each other's names. And then eventually we started hanging out and got together, got engaged January of 2008. Got married April of 2009. And we have 2 kids and a third that we just had a month and a half ago in May. So now we have 3 kids, own a business, been together for 14 years now, and no turning back from there. Everybody said we wouldn't make it. We've been through trials and tribulations, made sure that we always stuck by each other's side and took care of everything we're supposed to, and we've been tested a lot. We have been tested hard. Other than that, we have enjoyed life. We travel. We enjoy spending time with each other 24 hours a day. Never a dull moment, never separation. It's actually been great.
Join Maridate today by visiting www.maridate.com. Maridate, Houston's first private social club for couples.
We are the Adolphs.
Willie and Tequila.
We are blessed and honored to be asked to be a host couple for Maridate.
We have been a part of each other's lives for so many years.
We partied hard and worked harder.
We have 4 adult children and 2 fur babies.
We are entrepreneurs and we work together for over 20 years.
We have been married since 1999 through thick and thin, sickness and health, through troubles and triumphs, struggles and all victories. But God.
We built it up.
We built it up.
We built it up. And now we're solid. Solid as a rock. We are the Adolphs.
Join Maridate today by visiting www.maridate.com.
Oh my God! I just got through watching a great show on Boss Up Houston Network. Have you heard? They're bossing up, okay? And I heard they're looking for you. Any podcasters, talk show hosts, if you're a writer or producer, we definitely need you. Come aboard and boss up.
Are you a small business owner that is struggling to promote your company?
Our topic today is, what's your status?
Shoot the dice at this point.
You just shoot the dice, roll the dice.
So,
Yes.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's attorneys.
I love it.
Imagine being televised on a national platform. How about being a host or sponsor on a syndicated podcast? or being featured on exclusive promotions and interview for your product to your ideal customer. Hi, I'm Kayla Sneed, and I'm head of sales with Boss Up Houston. And here at Boss Up, we like to help small business owners and entrepreneurs advertise, promote, or become a sponsor for one of our television, podcast, or radio shows. All you have to do is click the link down below to see if you qualify. I'll be seeing you soon.
This is Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
Hey guys, welcome back into the Amber and Neal Show. We are so excited that you guys stay tuned in and join us because you're in for some knowledge today and some treats. We have two legends in the building, and we're going to bring you in back with my co-host, DJ Houston.
What's up? What's up? So right before the break, we were talking about the cancel culture over in Hollywood. So, Billy, tell me about, what's your opinion about this cancel culture that's going down?
Well, first of all, cancel culture is like, it's not new. It's a macrocosm of, I'd like to speak to a manager.
It's the Karen of society.
It really is, and we've just indoctrinated into social media because, like, back in the day, black comedians would often get canceled from mainstream venues. Like before Def Jam and before that whole movement, black comedians couldn't even hardly play in mainstream clubs or white clubs, and it wasn't like the back door. We had to come to the back door or whatever. Right. But they had the Chitlin circuit, but then they had the mainstream rooms. Fortunately and unfortunately, I was a dude that played the mainstream rooms because I was the safe black dude to do whatever. But when Def Jam came along, that's when everybody ushered the black people into the mainstream rooms because it was so popular and it was so good and everybody wanted. So not only did this show and this dude salvage or even create all these careers, they created a whole new industry of live comedy because nobody was doing, right, Bob? Nobody was doing, maybe in New York, in LA, but nobody was really doing theaters in mainstream America. Nobody was doing mainstream comedy clubs in mainstream America. Yeah. On the coast they may have been, but I never saw like an urban act, a quote unquote urban act, do a weekend at a comedy club until after the Def Comedy Jam.
Ain't that something?
I must share this tidbit with you guys because it's crazy. Because if anyone that's read my bio or anything, I was a DJ. Yeah, I was a DJ. I started in the music industry based off of being a kid who circled. It's so weird, but we're gonna take it here.
All right, let's go.
When I came up 5 years old, 6 years old, my parents used to frequent the world famous Apollo Theater, where I'm now curator of comedy there.
That's amazing.
But they used to bring me there as like a 6-year-old to watch the Motown Review, the James Brown Review. I saw all of them, as well as comedians like a young Richard Pryor. This is the mid to late 60s. Yeah. And there was a young lady who I actually had the pleasure to present into the Apollo Walk of Fame as one of the first 3 non-musical performers, one being Richard Pryor, Red Fox, and Jackie Moms Mabley.
Wow.
Okay, so I was there to watch all of them, come about. But all of that happened because my parents would go there to see my uncle sing. My uncle's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Oh, wow. Okay, he sang in a group called the Platters. Oh. Okay, he was lead singer. And if you saw Why Do Fools Fall in Love, the Frankie Lyman story, Halle Berry played Zola Taylor. Yeah. And she was the lady in the group. Wow. You know what I mean? So we always went to the Apollo. But the other part to it is my mom worked at RCA Records. And she did the royalties for like Elvis, Sam Cooke. If you saw, my friend Regina King had a movie called One Night in Miami, and they was talking to Sam Cooke about how he needed to get into publishing and stuff. Right. Well, that happened, and my mom used to be the one that dealt with all of that. So I've always been in the music industry, and her working at RCA Records, I had a lot of records. Then I got a job at Def Jam Records. Right? Had nothing to do with comedy, but I was doing underground comedy in North New Jersey at a place called Terminal D before I went to this other place called Club 88 and the Peppermint which I had Bill Bellamy, then Mike Epps hosting. I decided when I did this comedy thing, I wanted to do this underground comedy because I knew what it was all about based off of the Apollo.
Yeah.
I decided that because I'm a DJ, that I'm going to flip it where you have a stand-up comedy show. Normally, back in the day, you had the piano player. Or you had the snare drum. You know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
You didn't have the DJ.
You did that.
I did that.
Wow.
Really?
Everyone knows this, and that's why when we decided to do Def Comedy Jam, I knew that I wanted to bring that element into it as well as Russell and Stan, because that's what was popping with us on the underground. So now, one last piece to this, we had a show with one of our acts named LL Cool J, right? He was performing on the Budweiser Superfest, co-headlining with Babyface, right? At Madison Square Garden. We're all there with our Def Jam jackets on, doing our thing, right? Following the show, there's an after party on the West Side Highway. I go up there to the party, we all up in there, and the DJ is killing, but he's also talking. Now with Def Comedy Jam, we not only needed a host, but we needed the DJ and we needed the voice of God, right? The announcer. And I'm looking, this guy could announce and DJ.
Wow.
Called Russell, called Stan, told him, we have our DJ. His name is Kid Capri.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of
I love these
the
stories.
whole thing, you know. So.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Don't you just love?
Yeah, I love it. I'm loving
So
this
that's how
education.
that's how that whole, you know, Def Jam brought the whole hip hop to it all.
Sure did.
Now the one other part to it though is the name Def Comedy Jam, because you see now it's Uncle Jam's Jam Comedy, like everything is Comedy Jam, Comedy Jam, Comedy Jam. Where we didn't know what the heck the name was going to be until we're sitting in the conference room, and in the conference room we have all of our platinum plaques, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, everything sitting around. So Russell leans back on the wall while we're trying to do this thing, and one of the plaques fall. Almost hit Russell in the head. It falls on the floor. Russell picks the plaque up, and he looks at it, and he goes, Def Comedy Jam.
Wow.
And the whole round table goes, Def Comedy Jam, Def Comedy Jam. That's it. That's it. That's how it was built. So now I'm saying to myself, we should have got the Comedy Jam patent of it all. And it's no different than Bill Bellamy's Booty Call. You know what I mean? We've had so many moments at Def Comedy Jam that has taken off for other folks.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Wow. You know, so this is a on the spot question.
Look at Chappelle's career. Let me stop.
Enough said, right? Which Def Jam act are you the most surprised with their success?
Oh man, why'd you go and steal the
know,
question
that's
right
a
off
good
the top of my
question,
I was waiting for that correct moment to
I'm
ask.
not even gonna say surprised at their success, because you have to remember I put them on. So anybody I put on, I'm not surprised at their success. But I do know other people are, because they've spoken to me about these different acts, including Chappelle. There was a time when people thought that Chappelle wasn't, where at the same time, for me, Dave has gotten older, okay? Where people are understanding him more now.
Yeah.
But he's the same Dave Chappelle that he was at 18 as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
He just has more to talk about now, and he's always been one, he never, when he did the Domino's Pizza back in the day, you know what I mean? He's always been that guy. So, while people might act like they're not, he's always been, there's a surprise. I know one guy who's no longer living that I used to try to get him to put him on shows. And I know we're in Texas, and I'm going to say it straight up. They would rather have Shucky Ducky than Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Real talk. Wow. Because that's the mindset of folks back when. But now Dave has become the iconic one, you know what I mean, compared to the best ever, which he's always been one of the best ever for me.
I agree.
I feel like he was just so far ahead of his time.
Well, he's always been. This is
Right.
what I'm trying to tell you. But when I tell you that, when I look at the careers of Deion Cole, okay, when I look at the career of J.B. Smooth, when I look at the career of Tracy Morgan, when I look at the career of Mike Epps, these are all comedians that at one time people looked at them like they was rough around the edges, but they was able to smooth it out and still be who they are, and people take, people have accepted them. But there was a time when it was a rough sell. But once you get that opportunity, everybody, when I look at Chris Tucker, people don't even understand that I took Chris Tucker out of a showcase where it was like a competition where he didn't even get out of the first round.
Wow.
But I made it backstage to tell him that you may not have made it happen here, but you made it happen with me. Next thing I know, he's Smokey in this movie called Friday.
Let me add something to that story.
Yeah.
I was in that competition, and I went before him in the first round, went to the second round, and he congratulated me. And the next time I heard of him, next time I saw him, he was on Def Jam doing the Michael Jackson stuff.
Doing the same thing.
Doing the same thing.
Isn't that a trip?
That really is a trip.
Yeah.
Like, who's watching this?
Yeah.
Who's judging this?
Right.
Because I wasn't judging that
Wow.
night.
Yeah.
I came in to judge.
Oakland, right?
Yeah, it was Oakland.
Yeah.
I came in to judge on Saturday night. Right, I came in to judge for Saturday night, but of course Friday night I'm getting ready to deliver a season, because the way Def Comedy Jam went was we had a pilot, and the pilot was so strong, right, that we did the season, but then we did another season before the second season, kind of. It was weird, no different than what I did with Laugh Tracks. It's like when you have something hot, instead of signing the new deal, they just extend the old deal.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel so inspired. It's like, it's so easy just to get caught up in the moment of just the greatness. I mean, wow.
Thank you.
That's amazing, because, everybody does have opinions. And one thing I hope everybody that's tuning in can really grasp here is a no might not be right now. Maybe it's just your time, your timing. I mean, because it sounds like so many people that you've come back through the years, and it's like, okay, now you're ready. Now it's your time. Or maybe it's a different project. Maybe it's not what you originally were looking for them for.
Earthquake is still upset at me for passing on him. Some more talent, the comedian talent, like all of them, like the first go round, because I know that when I come back here, you're gonna be that. I want you to be memorable.
Yeah.
I don't want you just to say you was on it, because right now, LOL, Kevin Hart's company, is showing all of the Def Jams like it's brand new.
Oh, wow.
And people watch it and go, I didn't know that person was on there, and this person, because you didn't remember them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then there's other ones that you are like, wow, so it's crazy. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, and it was such a big deal until, like, the things that came out of it. I had a song that I did on there, and it was called, it was a song about a speakerphone. I don't know if you remember. It's called Get Off the Speakerphone. I don't understand what you're saying. Time Warner picked up that song. I don't know if you know the story. And
nobody sends me no check.
And all the Six Flags, like, because when you stand in line at like an amusement park, that have entertainment on monitors. I had no idea that this thing was playing on there until we went to Six Flags in Austin, Arlington, and I'm standing in line with my family. And my daughter looks up at me and she says, "Daddy, that's you." And it's got me up there doing the whole deal in this whole park. Now, and trust me, I didn't get a check from this because it was a buyout. But I got, just like that sort of notoriety, and just random people still to this day in airports, or come to a comedy club and they will request something that I did 20 years ago, and almost 30 years ago, and I don't even remember it. That, along with people that are fans of yours that watch the show. When I worked with Anita Baker remembered me from Def Comedy Jam, requested something. When I worked with Aretha Franklin, I toured with Aretha Franklin for 4 years. She remembered me from Def Comedy Jam. Just people like that watching, eyeballs on you that you have no idea.
And just to hear him say that Anita Baker,
yeah.
you know, just to hear him say that Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sitting in my office one day, and they say, Bob, it's a call for you, right? I pick up the phone, and it's the representative for this guy named Prince.
Yeah.
Right? Right? The representative, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's for Prince, right? And I'm like, well, how can I help you? They say Prince's favorite show is Def Comedy Jam.
I believe it, yeah.
No,
that's
listen.
awesome.
And he wants to know if he can have all of the VHSs from the season. I'm like, can he have all of the VHSs from the season? Yes, in exchange for all of his music. but at the same time, sure enough, he can have it. And this is before the infomercials that I used to love when they came on.
Right.
Time Life, boy, was doing it.
Yeah.
But again, it's like when you hear these people, when my mom can tell me that, Bobby, Quincy Jones is on the phone.
Right.
And Quincy wants to ask me a question based off of Russell telling him to call me because he's looking for a new host he had this show called Vibe and just wanted to, pick my brain. Then Dionne Warwick calls about something for her, a host for her That's What Friends Are For. And I'm saying to myself, we have really...
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Don Cornelius flies me out to judge his comedy. All of a sudden, now they're doing a comedy competition. His son, Tony, goes, have you met Don yet? And Don, he said he wants to meet you. And then Bob Sumner, Don Cornelius, I'm looking. This is Don Cornelius. You know what I'm saying? It's like all of this.
I don't think it ever gets old, huh?
All of this is based off of this little underground comedy room that I created in working at Def Jam Records. And then you have all of these Billy D. Washington stories.
Yeah, no, I have plenty. Took me to Radio City Music Hall.
I love
Radio
it.
City.
How about that?
Dude, the Waldorf Astoria. Never. Come on now. I would have never done that. And and just in fairness, I was the only person from Houston that actually did the show. Now, that lived in Houston. Like other people from Houston, like Thea did it, but she was in L.A.
Yeah.
David Raybon did it, but he was in L.A. But I was the only person.
What a night that was.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was the only. I'm still the only person that was selected out of Houston to do the show.
I got one more.
And I was the first
for you.
person in Texas to do it.
No, but I do have one other. God bless him. Silk Willie Dunn.
Silk Willie Dunn. Came out of the bus driver.
Silk Willie Dunn.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and he didn't make it out of the comedy place, but he did make it out of the comedy place.
Right.
Eventually.
Wow.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I mean, you was the poster child.
Yeah.
For and then Rashawn.
Yeah.
Rashawn came later and all that because
it was massively
that
successful.
whole hip hop comedy stop
Yeah.
was a situation where, I think about the hip hop comedy stop and how Steve, J. Anthony, Raybon, and Rushion put that thing together. And I look at Chicago. I just left Chicago. And I know what Chicago means to the success of Def Comedy Jam as well as other things. But it's so sad to know that there are no black comedy clubs in Chicago right now. What? You know what I mean? You have all of the clubs that wasn't checking for them is now the clubs that they have to go to right now. And I just say to myself, there's too many successful comedians in Chicago not to pool their resources like what Steve, J. Anthony, and David and Rushion did. I think that they can have a dynamite comedy club in the South Side.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. because it's nothing like spreading the joy of laughter. And if you could spread the joy of laughter in your hood, neighborhood, some people call it, listen, that's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that part of it. When all of these successful comedians make it, it's still these next ones, you know, that need these opportunities to be seen. And I should be able to come into that room like I used to.
Well, and that room here is the Speakeasy Comedy Lounge, and
That's
you're going
right.
to be there tonight and tomorrow night.
That's right.
And trust me, Bob, when I tell you, I know people are like breaking necks to get on that showcase.
They really
Yeah,
They had, as soon as it jumped off, who you know calling me, asked me if I can get them on the showcase. I lied and said I couldn't, even though I probably could. But I was like, you know, you got to get it the way we got it.
And I can always come back.
Yeah.
I can always come back.
Yeah.
But the thing that's very, very important that everybody has to understand, and I mean this when I say this, as far as I'm concerned right now, I'm a neophyte. This is brand new to me. Stand-up comedy, I don't care about your last hit record.
Yeah.
Not right now. I don't care about your last hit record. I need to know who has the funniest post-COVID material. And I mean that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We know we have one more question for you, then we got to get out of here. How does, in your experience, I know you've come in several times looking for talent, how does Houston comedy compare to the rest of the country?
How does Houston comedy compare to the rest of the country?
Yeah. The reason I ask you that, a lot
No,
of
no, you
people
don't have to. You
think
don't
of
have to
Houston,
because I've been
you know?
here. I've been here quite a few times.
Yeah.
In surrounding areas, but I'm here.
Okay.
And I've been here since 1991.
Amen.
Okay, so I definitely see great talent. And the other thing it's so crazy because when I was in the airport today, I had received a phone call from a comedian who I saw in Dallas. I called him back because I had to call him back because I want to put him in the Curtis Mayfield story because he looks so much like Curtis Mayfield. And there's not a Curtis Mayfield story yet for me to put him into. But as soon as I figure it out, I found Curtis Mayfield.
I know that's right.
But I'm talking to this guy, and I'm telling him that I will, like, he wanted to talk. And I said, listen, I just wanted your number, you know, because you were one of the people who I, you know, paid attention to. And, you know, the thing that I needed to know is, like, last night was kind of like part one of what I look for.
Okay.
Okay? And that's where I'm coming from with how I feel about Houston. And I mean this wholeheartedly.
Okay.
It's about talent, first and foremost. But I'm not just putting you on stage based on your talent, because I know that I need you to go to wardrobe, I need you to go to craft services, you know, I need you to move around on this set.
Yeah.
And if you're going to disrupt my production, I don't care how funny you are. If your character is tacky,
talk about it.
Say that
I'm not
again.
dealing with you. So when I see these comedians perform on these showcases, I still have to have that conversation with you because I don't mess with assholes.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
That part.
I just don't. So I always feel good coming to Houston. When I came to work with you and I was in pain, severe pain. I remember this. I look for great people to go along with great talent.
Amen.
And that's the beauty of Houston for me. You know, when I look at Billy D. Washington, when I look at Ali Sadiq, when I look at Thomas Miles, when I look at Kia Spates, you know what I mean? I know that I'm going to put somebody on stage that's not only going to deliver, but they're not going to give nobody no problem.
Amen.
That's what's up.
It's about the
Appreciate that. Thank you, Houston.
It's the
Thank you,
relationships,
Bob.
guys. It's the relationships. You got to build the relationship.
And I must shout out Al D. Freeman. Because Al D. Freeman has been rocking and souling for a long time, and he's actually introduced me to some great connections outside of stand-up comedy.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Is that the weed man? Is that what you mean?
No, but I met Congressman Lee.
Yeah.
Jackson Lee,
Right.
and Jalene Mack.
Yes.
I have to shout her out.
Incredible.
Lathan Johnson. Like, there's people here, the lawyer
Ricky Anderson.
Yeah, Rick. It's like it's some great people down here.
Right.
Great people. I love Houston, and I mean, I have to get before I leave here. I got to get that seafood sampler.
All right.
Yeah. I'm taking it right now.
That's our hint. All right, guys. Well, Billy, give out your contact information.
Everything is at Billy D. Washington. And watch my film on BET. It's going to start to air on October 11th. It's called The Pillowcase. It's airing on BET and all their streaming platforms and on the network beginning October the 11th. Written and directed by.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Really is one of the most talented people I have ever been around. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
And Bob,
I'm trying to get my.
It goes without saying.
I'm trying to get my Instagram followers up. I never even people be sending me like, you want to get that blue thing? I don't even know what that blue thing is. What is that? Just like I didn't even know what Clubhouse was. But what does verify mean? I'm not verified. I'm verified. Just like they got this thing called culture creators, right? I don't know what culture creators is, but I know I created a culture. A couple other things though. I have a page, Bob Sumner's Comedy Spot, where I just leave it open for people who in the business to promote their stuff because they can't actually come to my personal page because my personal page is my personal page.
Right.
However, the other part to it is on Instagram, bob.sumner. You can find me at. But I also have a page now, a group page, because I've gone back to my music roots. And you need to come on board and join this. It's called Grooving on a Sunday Afternoon with Bob Sumner. And when I tell you that I'm playing joints on there to the point where it's now, I'm in September, because all of the folks that follow, they want to meet each other. In Jersey, I'm having the Stone Soul Picnic. So Seri down. And again, you can find me on there, and people would love to share music. It's really, really cool. To the point where somebody shared Superfly Meat Shaft. I don't know if you remember that. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, sir.
We're dating ourselves.
I know.
So that's what's happening. I have a lot of different places, but again, Laugh Mob is a movement. And I'm on August the 12th, because the pandemic derailed it for a minute. I'm bringing the Laugh Mob brand, hopefully around the country, kicking it off in Philadelphia with Bob Sumner's Laugh Mob Live.
Right.
Okay, and then I'm gonna take it down to DMV, and that's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. We're gonna kick it off down there in October. And then the other thing is I'll be back at the Apollo Comedy Club very, very soon. And again, thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you for
on.
coming.
It's our honor.
Right.
Yes,
Thank you for teaching me so much about the industry as well today. You know, about
all
the firsts that you've established for a lot of people. You know,
the DJ is the killer.
No, that's really because it's something that me and Amber had talked about with her comedy show that's coming up. Is like she's like, I really got to, that DJ's got to be up there, and it's got to be the right DJ because they got to set that vibe. And to know that you're the one that started that movement right there, you really did take comedy to the next level.
Yeah, but the one thing about music though, if I'm doing a showcase and you up there singing songs and stuff, that's not good, especially if it's not original, because I'm not going to use that on television because I have to pay for it.
Right.
So people need to know that unless it's a killer that so. Yeah.
Well, as we always like to say at the show, Google him. Okay? And Google him and Google us. But we ain't nobody Google him. But, okay, a little greatness. I feel like I got a little greatness now. All right, guys, we got to end the show today. But again, tonight at Phil and Derek's and tomorrow night, Bob is out scouting for the next big star. Go ahead and get your tickets now, and we will see you guys back tomorrow for Thirsty Thursdays. And for more information, go to amberneal.com.
See y'all later, guys.
See ya.
Maridate, Houston's first private social club for couples.
Chris and I met on MySpace. We started doing music together first, and then we became really good friends, and we were friends for about 5 years. And then we started dating each other in 2008. By February 2009, we were engaged, and by November 2009, we were married. We have 3 children together that we have raised, and we have traveled the world together and eaten some of the best food in the world, and collectively have just built up an amazing network of friends and family and a circle of people that we just love and care about, and they continue to motivate and we continue to motivate them. We build our energy on our relationship with the energy that we can give to other people and the effect that we can have on other people's lives. And we're going on 12 years strong this year through all the obstacles and the goods and the bads. We're still together, and we're here to share our story.
Join Maridate today by visiting www.maridate.com.